All right, so I just closed on my second flip. As you can see there, I got the closing documents, my fat thumbs on it, but proceeds $30,000, $366 and 27 cents. So a little over 30 grand on that flip, but I have a lot of money that I put into this deal. Hard money loans, interest only payments. So I got to do the math, but I think the profit is right around $3,000 instead of 30. I'm gonna break down every associated cost. This is my second flip ever. Wasn't a home run, but we didn't lose money. But the craziest part is it's the morning. It's about 10:30 a.m. The buyers are still maybe not signing this afternoon. We had some issues come down the pipeline last night till about 10, 11 o'clock. And then all morning this morning, I have been working with the buyers and the buyer's agent. They're saying all these things are still broken in the house. My contractor's like, no, they're not. It's been kind of a mess. So let's break down this deal, see how much I spent, see how much we made, and then we're going to talk about the issues that we ran into now. Again, this is going to help you guys when you go to sell, to flip. I made one crucial mistake, and I'm going to get into that. I don't want you guys to make it. So at least I'm getting my money back. I'm going to have some money in my account to go buy some other flips, and I'm changing my strategy too. So we're going to talk about that in this video. Oh, and I got 2 free baby Diet Cokes and a really cool gel pen. So I got that too on my profit. All right, so yes, I did get paid. It's a couple days past. I was looking for my sheet, 30,000 bucks. So what I'm gonna do, I just sold that thing. I'm gonna break down every single cost. I'm also actually gonna break down my budget, my calculator, everything. Again, I'm gonna be honest, we did not make a lot of money and we made a shitload of mistakes. So this is real life house flipping. This is my second house flip that I've ever done. I'm gonna go through how much it cost for me to get into it, how much we made, every cost that was associated with it, and then I'm really gonna break down these mistakes. We're gonna talk in detail about the mistakes that cost us maybe an extra 5, 10, 50, maybe even an extra $20,000. I want you to avoid them. So, hey, what's up guys? Jackson Wilkie with the Ground Up House Flipping channel. I am documenting my house flipping business from the ground up. So if you're new here, you guys make sure you go back to video 1 and watch it. It's a documentary series. A lot of you are asking me in the comments, hey, do you have a video on setting up an LLC or a bank account? Or hey, do you have a video on hard money loans? Yes, every single aspect of house flipping from the beginning. If you start at video 1 and watch it through, you'll see a lot of comments of, oh my God, I've made it through all your videos. This is the greatest channel of all time, right? I'm not saying that to toot my horn. I'm just telling you what the comments say. Start at video 1. Okay, this is my style of content, raw, honest. We doing it. Right? Now I'm gonna break down my full budget and the costs and all that stuff. But first, you want to know what gave me almost a freaking heart attack? Sorry, I'm moving over to here. So what I was telling you in the intro is guys, 15 minutes before I was leaving to go sign for this, I was getting messages left and right. This is from the storm. It's just a little piece of paint and trim, no big deal. But this is where it got a little interesting. Jackson, the buyers still found the same issues during their walkthrough. AC vents in the owner's suite along with laundry are not blowing. Guest shower handle is not enough room to turn. They spoke to your contractor and he told them the AC is too small for the house. Are you kidding me? When I got that, I was like shaking. I was so mad, and I'm like, why would my contractor ever say anything like that? So immediately I wanted to call him back, dude, what in the fuck is going on? So I did. I'm like, hey, dude, I sent him this message, and he's like, they didn't talk to me, dude. I've been out at a church youth camp all day, you know, helping children. They didn't talk to me. So and he goes, that AC unit is plenty big. It is the perfect size. You know, if anything, it's a touch too big, but it is the right size. So, and he goes, all that stuff works. He goes, I'll go there tomorrow and I'll go check it out. So what they did is we had the inspection, and then we fixed everything, and then they went and did their final walkthrough, right? So anyways, what I did is I sent this long freaking message right here, and I just was telling them, you know, everything that my contractor said, right? And she said, perfect, we received that. I will relay this information to the buyer's agent. Well, shortly after that, I get a text back. There's possibilities that the buyers want to move the closing till Monday as they are concerned about the repairs from the buyer, and this is from the buyer's agent. This has not been the case the last few times I walked the property. The AC vents issue is not a complaint about how much they blow, but the fact there is no airflow. The guest bathroom handle has no room for cold. Then I don't know who that contractor was, because I told them like that wasn't our contractor. And then they said okay, and then the bottom says, I'm more than happy to walk the property tomorrow morning with the seller so they can show me what we are not seeing, but my clients cannot close without these items being fixed that we agreed upon. So again, here I am getting ready to close, finally gonna, sell this freaking thing. I've been wanting it off my plate, and I am the night before signing, and then this is going right into the day I'm supposed to sign. So now this is a couple days later, just because I wanted to get all the costs and everything associated so that you hear it. I'm gonna break down the budget, cash calculator, the most in-depth house flipping video of all time. But I want to tell you exactly, like, you're never ever done with this stuff until you actually sign and they sign. Well, my buyers are threatening that they're not signing until this is fixed. So I am going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I am just like, what in the hell is going on? And then I got to talk to this person, and they talk to that person, and I'm like, this ain't getting solved. So I'm like, give me the buyer's agent's number now. Like, I need to talk to him. I'm tired of going back and forth. So I did that. And as you can see from here on the messages, this is that morning. I'm supposed to sign at 10 a.m. at a location that's about 45 minutes away from me. So it's 7:45 in the morning. I need to leave by 9 o'clock, 9:50. So I have an hour and 15 minutes, and it's going. And I'm just like, all right, as you can see there, not sure if it's easy to move the signing to a new branch. I might actually just go down there because I didn't hear anything, right? And they're like, we're not signing. So I'm like, do I even go sign? Like, what in the hell is going on? So the AC vents, right? And so what happens is, like, finally get this agent's number, and I call him, and I'm like, dude, I'm supposed to go sign. I need to leave in 10 minutes. Like, are you guys going to sign or not? And he's like, well, we need to get this stuff fixed. And I'm like, hey, would you meet my contractor there? Who you talked to yesterday wasn't him. He's more than happy to go through this with you and explain, or see it. I really want to make sure this house is perfect. I'm the seller. I want to make sure everything is working for you, and I want this to happen. He's like, sounds good, dude. I appreciate that. He goes, I'll actually be over there in 15 minutes. I can meet him. I'm like, thank goodness. I'm going to go sign. You guys go through it. So my contractor, he keeps telling me. So the back and forth, my contractor's like, no, all that stuff works. I don't know what they're talking about. They're like, no, it doesn't work. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. So I go in and I sign the papers. That's all I know is I'm signing. I don't know if they're going to sign or what. I get out, I talk to my contractor, and he's like, it's all good, brother. Smooth it out. He goes, what happened was the AC, they would go out in the living room, and it's ice cold and it's blowing really hard. And he goes, if you look up in the attic, and he pulls it, he goes, there's the unit. It's directly above. It's the shortest run. The two rooms you're talking about, the master and they're the farthest away. They're on the opposite end of the house, so it's not going to blow as hard. But look at the gun is showing that it is getting air, and the agent kept standing directly underneath the vent. And so my contractor goes, step back a ways. Those things are angled, they point out. And when he did that, he could feel the air hitting him. So he's like, oh, okay, well that's good. What about the handle? And he showed him, he goes, it's cold first, then hot. And so the agent sees that, he's like, oh, actually everything's pretty good. So like 2 days of like the worst heartache and pain is this gonna close to like, boom, wrapped up, sounds good. He messages me, he's like, my buyers are signing tonight, we should fund tonight, all that. Didn't fund, they didn't get it in time, Friday night, that's fine. It did Monday morning. So now what I wanna do is I'm gonna break down the budget, the cash calculator, all of my costs, my profits, my little baby profits, everything, and my biggest mistakes of this deal. So now let's go check out the budget. Right here, okay, you can see the verified budget amount. Now I leveraged hard money loan, right? I'm gonna break down the cost of that. So if you guys have been following me, you guys are probably a little bit more in tune to what these budgets actually look like. But when you get a hard money loan, you've got to be very, very, very detailed, okay? So I've actually created spreadsheets, and this is in some of my videos, where it goes exactly off of this line item, because this is the way that the hard money lenders break down budgets. You can hand a raw budget to hard money of like, yeah, it's gonna cost $60,000, and they're gonna be like, we need to know down to the drywall, mud, tape, texture, all of it individually, right? So if you guys are looking at this and you're new, you're like, what in the hell is all that? This is what a budget looks like. On the left, this is my budget. This is what we said it would cost us to flip the property. And I'm going to talk about how much we paid for it and all that. And then the lender budget, right? Why is there two of them? Why is there a lot of the same numbers? Why is this one red and it's different? That's because we gave them a budget for what we thought it would cost us to do this entire flip, which was $64,430. That's how much it would cost us to do the flip. They said, well, we went there and we kind of like your budget for the most part, but there's a few things, kind of like electrical trim and fixtures, fans, lights, plumbing fixtures, and exterior trim, soffit siding. You forgot to add those, and that's probably going to be an associated cost. And you're probably like, well, why is their budget more than yours, and what does that mean, right? So I've done a few of these loans now, and they're typically going to give you a bigger budget than the budget you give. It can be good or it can be bad. The good about it is if you do go over budget, if let's say bathroom countertops is $900 and it ends up costing you $1,500. Well, you've got over $2,400 right here. Oh yeah, right there. I did the math. I'm a badass. Did that in my head. You got $2,400 extra money that the hard money company will lend you. That's great, right? Well, when it comes to how much money out of pocket at the end, you go off of their budget. So this might be more money as a down payment at closing, more money out of pocket, right? So again, I don't want to go into crazy detail on this because if you start at the beginning, I have full videos and tutorials on this. Basically a master's degree in starting a flipping business, but just so you know, our budget was $64,430. So we had a purchase price, if you guys remember, we paid $76,000 for it. A rehab budget of $64,430. And I think it had a resale value of what they gave us at like $175,000. So that's what the appraiser comes back and says, we think it's worth that. This loan structure right now is a 12% interest rate at 2 points. So this is kind of your origination fee. And this is a free calculator the Spark Lending. So if you guys go down into my description of this video or in the about section of my channel, this is free, no strings attached. And if you ever want to get a hold or reach out to Joe, Hard Money Joe, who's in all of these videos and who's going to be in a lot of videos coming up because we got some sick flips and stuff coming up together, then you can reach out to him here, but it's free. This is how I started my whole journey, right? 70% loan to value. That's starting out where you're typically going to get loaned at. My estimated borrower cash. So this is what I would have to bring to the closing table. $23,745, right? So I've done a bunch of loans now with him, and he actually increases that value to 75%. So estimated borrower cash, $15,170. It actually was a little bit more than that because their budget was $66,830, right? So estimated borrower was about $17,000, and that's pretty reflective. There was a few other things that came up on this, and I think our resale value was a little bit lower on that from what now again, that's just what the appraisal company for the hard money comes back at, but this calculator is exactly where to start. So if we go over here and we check out the cost, for me, I put a $3,000 earnest money deposit down, and you see $3,020. It's $20 wire fee, so I added that in, right? This is every single cost calculated up. Down payment, I ended up having to spend about $18,333. If you want a full breakdown of exactly why it was $18,333, when I bought the house, I broke down my cost to it, okay? So I was into this thing with the down payment and the earnest money, $21,000 in, right? So that's just to play. That's paying to play. Now, with that, a lot of that was the overage, right? So over the 75% loan to value. Again, if that doesn't make sense, I got videos on it. So that doesn't mean that I lose it, but I do lose the closing costs, right? So basically all of this stuff here, that's how much it costs for me to get a hard money loan. And then from there, you've got interest only payments right there. My estimated monthly payment, $1,313. That's almost spot on. So this calculator is incredible for house flipping, and it's the way that you should be, basing your offers and everything. And then just to show you really quick, the easiest way to do this, let's say your lender's only gonna give you 70%. You're trying to do as little money out of pocket as possible. You take that ARV, which let's say it's 175,000, you times it by 0.7, and that gives you a price of 122,500. So what do? Your purchase price, you subtract that. Mine was 76,000. That's how much my budget, right? $46,500 at 70%. So if you go to 75%, 175,000 times 0.75, if your lender gives you this, right, gives you a little bit more wiggle room, minus 76, whatever, it'd be close enough. Add $600 to that, so you're at about $55,000, right? That's how it works. So you would be trying to get your budget within that $55,000 range, or you're gonna try and get that purchase price from 76,000 down to like 66,000 to try and get to 70%. So I didn't. I was over a little bit. And again, this is one, you know, not mistake, but I've talked to so many flippers now, and there's a lot of them doing like the business model. They do 20, 40, 60, 100 flips a year, right? And as long as they make, like one guy I talked to, he's like, as long as I make 15 grand a flip, that's all I care about. You know, 70% of the flips I'm going to make money, 20% I'm going to break even, 10% I'm going to lose money. Like that's like the going rate, right? With that, you know, I kind of not fell into the trap. I hate saying that, but like I was like, oh, well, I can do 3 of these little tiny flips in a row and just make 15, 20, 30 grand a pop and just boom, 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 boom. I think it took me and my wife away from what we love to do, right? Our strategy. So I'm going to talk more on that, and then I'm going to talk about the biggest mistakes that we made on this, which I think just killed us. But I want to get back here again. And for you guys, if you're new, a lot of you are catching me like just now. I invite you to go back to video 1. So I get a lot of questions in my comments, tons. Hey, do you have any videos on hard money? Do you have any videos on setting up an LLC? Hey, what's your contract? How much is the budget? I literally I didn't even know how to flip, and I went to Facebook and made a weird random post, and then I met Joe, and then I learned this calculator. If you listen to me now, it almost sounds like I know what the hell I'm doing in flipping. It's been about 6-7 months of flipping, and I documented it from day one. I've drugged my camera with me everywhere, and start this channel from the very beginning, video 1, and just watch it through. It is a documentary of a house flipping business. But real quick, getting back to some of the costs, I want to just start breaking this down. City of Baytown water. So there was a setup fee and then 3 monthly payments. Centerpoint gas, there was a setup fee and then 3 monthly payments. So this is the total of the setup and the 3 payments, right? Appraiser for hard money loan, $525. That is not in the closing cost, right? So once I closed on it, actually, sorry, before I close on it, you pay the $525 to get the appraisal, their ARV, and that's what sets your budget. So that's another cost. And then you look here and it says Reliant Energy. So you got to pay power, $534.74. So over a 3-month period, the gas, the electric, the power. Now I have one flip we don't even need to turn the gas onto, so I don't have a gas expense, but that's mistake number 1. I think I talked about that in another video, is on this flip, it was my second flip, we forgot to call the power company. So my guys wanted to start work on like a Friday. We forgot to set up the power. They didn't have power till the next week, right? So make sure when you're doing a flip, like utilities, get them set up. But it's a cost, you know, and you start dragging these out 6 months, 9 months, you know, it can really start to add up, you know. So monthly interest payments, 3937. Okay, so what does that mean? With a hard money loan, you are going to pay interest only payments. So the longer this thing sits on the market, you know, that's why like I was kind of towards the end just like, let's find a good offer and take it, because if this sits on the market another month, 2 months, you saw the calculator there, it's $1,300 a month. That's $1,300, 26, 39, right? It just starts to add up and pile up. So you got to factor in those interest only payments. And it's not like I didn't know that. I knew that going into it, but every month when that money starts coming out, you're like, son of a bitch. Especially when you got 2-3 of these projects going at once like I do, that can kind of add up. So going back to it, I had 3 monthly payments of that much. Now there's actually a little bit more. So total cost, when I got what I got paid at closing, you got to realize there's a prorated amount. So that was just 3 monthly payments, and then the time from this payment to when I closed was like 2 weeks. So there's a prorated, let's just say another like 600. I didn't put it in here because it didn't come out of my account. It came out at closing, but I had to factor that in. Transaction fee, my agent charged me $495 for a transaction fee. So my total cost for this flip was this $27,413.26. Now you guys remember the up front when I closed, right? It said 30,000, you know, 366. Well, they actually called me and they're like, hey, there's a $495 transaction fee that we didn't catch on there, and we need to add it. So when you actually get your wire, it's going to be this much. And I'm like, oh, great. So that leaves you with a profit, $2,458. My business model as of on this flip, maybe not going forward, is splitting it with my contractor 50%. That is each of our takeaway from this flip is $1,229.01. So me and my wife were sitting there, we were going through all the expenses, and when you get your ass kicked and you're on house flip number 2 and you learn as many lessons, and I'm going to break down some of these lessons and these kind of like speed bumps we hit, road roadblocks, mistakes, house flipping mistakes. I'm going to share them here in a second. We just kind of looked at each other and smiled. Like, it actually felt good. I know that there's like hardcore flippers out there and you guys are going to make fun of me or whatever, but I don't really care. At the end of the day, like, I paid that money. I made $1,229 in about a 3-month, 3.5, 4-month period. So I made about $300 a month. But the knowledge that I got out of it, like, it makes you better and better and better. And I think, you know, when I came to the YouTube space to learn about flipping, it was typically somebody who'd done 20, 50, 100, 300 flips, you know, and it's just like, here's how I did the flip. I made 80,000 and I moved on. And I'm like, all right, well, now that I got into the flipping myself, I like every day there's a new roadblock. I am literally calling somebody to like figure it out, right? So I looked at my wife, we were just smiling like, that was a lot of work. It's not as glorified as you think. And we walked away, we get all that 20, you know, because the cost to us, right, is this much. And what this looks like, guys, okay, 27,413. This is what my wife and I paid, okay? So that's what we paid into it. And what we did with the contract, he gave us his budget, and then when we would take the draws out to pay him, we paid him his chunk. Again, you guys have talked about in the comments, you know, he gets all the money, I'm not protected. I agree with you guys. Like, I'm not a seasoned flipper. I didn't know. I thought it was a great idea to get my contractor involved and split the profits 50-50, keeping him very motivated to finish it. And to be honest, he's been working his freaking butt off to get these done. So I think in retrospect, like, yes, it does work in that way, but it's really hard to track, right? So I think going forward, it might be more of a, just give me your budget, let you make your however much, and if it works with my numbers, great. I'm happy with it with my numbers, then we'll move forward. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm just being raw and honest with you guys, okay? So with that, we were in 27. So at least we recouped all our money back, which is nice to see in the account, because once you get going and you have all that money into one deal, it seems like other deals pop up and you're like, God, I'd way rather have that one. So it's good to have a big chunk back and then hopefully be listing another one here soon and just kind of recoup some of those profits we made from the first flip, and then just focus on kind of like one big one at a time, maybe two, I don't know, with partners, but like that's going to be going forward. So I think some of the mistakes we made, and again, I think like it's hard to do this on YouTube, like to talk about it, you know, because I do read the comments and you guys are right. Like there is some constructive criticism. Now some of you guys are just like make fun of me, you know, think because you're a guru. But for the most part, you guys have very good constructive criticism. And at first, it hits me in the gut, and I'm kind of like, "F you, man!" Like, but then I sit back and I realize that okay, this is actually pretty constructive, and so it's hard for me to put myself out there, the mistakes. But the one mistake that we made right out of the gate is just listing it. And I had a video on like the hardest part of house flipping, I personally feel, is listing the damn thing. Like what price, staging, not staging, picture, like there's a lot to it, right? And the market's not the same as it used to be in COVID where things sell immediately. But I think I was in such a rush to get this thing listed. It was our second flip. I was just excited. Like I was like pumped up. This thing is done. Let's get it listed. Let's get it sold. I can smell the profits now, right? And especially when we first started at like 200,000, it was just way too high.
Man, I think you could put it up for 200.
Yeah. I love that.
I think that's a solid number to put it at.
But the big mistake we made was my wife, like, and with my agent, we didn't really do a good thorough walkthrough before. So after like a month went through and we weren't really getting much and people were like, whatever. You know, we actually had some interested parties. They just, you know, mistake number two, we kind of went into an area we didn't know. And when you're in an area where you have the really small, cheap homes, well, it's really hard once you fix them up to find buyers who can get qualified for that house. That's something I learned. I didn't even think about that or know anything about that, but we actually had interested buyers even when we had it listed at 185 who wanted it, but they couldn't get qualified, right? So I think day on market, you know, and especially if you don't put out your best product and do everything right out of the gate, it can kill you. And so we had outlet covers missing. We had, you know, a lot of just like dirt and dust in there. I think the pictures came out way too bright and there was like no color contrast to them. There was definitely a few things that were wrong. Envision Title's calling me. So remember how I told you they sent me a check? I emailed them. I bet you they're calling about that check. You guys are more important. I'll get to them here in a second. Anyways, with that, we just didn't do that pre-walkthrough, and I will never do that again. And so that's mistake number two. You guys, a lot of comments out there like, well, my market's kind of expensive, or I don't know about my market. What do you think about me going out to a different city, different state, you know, with different markets? Hell to the nah. This one is an hour 50, and the main reason that I didn't go walk those properties, it's an hour 50, an hour and a half drive each way. So when me and my wife would go down there, I'm documenting all this for you guys. Like, you don't realize how much driving I have to do to go down there and document it. So it's another reason we want to get back close, because not only can we go check on things a lot, but it's just more enjoyable to not have to drive that far. So we're gonna pull back, back up to our market, and really just kind of focus on our area within 30, maybe 45 minutes max, but also areas that we go to a lot, we frequent a lot, so we can kind of tie it in with shopping. Now I'm just rambling, but this is house flipping. Like, you start learning your niche, your areas, and what you like. And so that's the other reason why I was smiling with my wife, because I'm like, all right, we didn't make the most money, but I learned so much about house flipping, like so much. And the other thing is, I learned, now we know what we like and what we don't like. And I think in any kind of investment, you always are out there wondering if the grass is greener, and so you start kind of experimenting out and out and out. And I'm glad that I was able to do that, get all my money back plus a little bit, and kind of move on and learn the lesson and kind of pull the plug on that area. So I got some really big things coming up with Hard Money Joe. You guys have already seen it. We got a new construction flip. We also may have a wholesale deal coming up where we're getting it such an affordable price. It's a crazy story. People in jail, we've had to get signatures. I'm gonna have Joe not only explain that, but how the lady who is getting all the signatures and title cleared for us from people in jail and people passed away. It's a crazy story. We're gonna document the whole thing on this channel. It'll be cool, but I'm gonna just kind of focus on a lot of that. And like I mentioned at the beginning, like, selling is hard, and you're never done until you actually close, right? Because I had all of those issues go on up until 15 minutes before I needed to leave to go sign. I was calling and saying, do I even sign right now, or are we waiting until next week? Like, you don't need that added stress. You can nip that stuff in the butt. But when I actually purchased this house, I went through the full budget, the full breakdown. It is in this video right here. Again, I recommend going to video 1 if you're new to this channel and just watching it in order, because it's a documentary. But this actual house, the cost of it, the hard money loan, all of that information is in that video right there, homies. And make sure you guys subscribe to the Ground Up House Flipping channel. Nothing more raw and honest than this channel about flipping.